All right, on to InDesign. This is the last software, Adobe software we're going to be working on. So please make sure that you've gone to Creative Cloud and downloaded your version. At this point, I would pause this video and make sure that you have this software available. You'll be just watching this, but it's best to be set up and ready to go. All right, hopefully at this point you're kind of looking at my screen. You might not have any recents, but you're at least at this version where you can see that you've got Create New and Open. For a minute, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what is InDesign. So Illustrator was kind of what it says it is. It's an illustration tool. It allows you to manipulate and change and draw in a vector format. Photoshop is rasterized. It has small pixelations of dot per inch to create detailed photography, hence photograph. Both of these have evolved to be much more robust than their names, but it's always good to use what is closest to what they are made for in the beginning. Illustrator was for illustration and Photoshop was for Photoshop. InDesign is the tool that kind of brings everything together. So if you did a logo, a vector image in InDesign, and you have a whole bunch of photos in Photoshop, you can merge them all in a page layout. A page layout you can usually find amongst a variety of different platforms. So what are we talking about? InDesign is a desktop publishing software application for creating flyers, brochures, magazines, newspapers, books, and etc. Projects created using InDesign can be shared on both digital and print format. So look around your house. If you see a book or a postcard or anything that comes in the mail, that was all designed. Someone literally put a grid system together and put all of this work and imagery together so that you can see it in that format. Newspapers, brochures, all of these things have been created by this program or something like it. So the digital aspect is kind of the same, but it's just found online. So how they've created now magazines, newspapers online. So Bloomberg is a magazine publication. You'd have to sign in and become a subscriber to see it all. But see how they've combined photography and image and a grid system to create the work. Wallpaper is another online. A lot of photography is used throughout it, but then here's someone's typography. This might be created in Illustrator. So all of this stuff is, showing how these magazines could also be made in InDesign. This would be the layout that you could use for InDesign. So just kind of showing you what InDesign can do. So it can create these online platforms, and then, like I said, anything you can find around your house that's been printed out, a book, a magazine, a newspaper, postcards, that all can be created in InDesign. So who uses InDesign? Everybody does, from a graphic designer to an artist, a publisher, and anyone that's in marketing. It's a great way of communicating long stories or short stories, or letting people know who you are. So if you're just an artist, not just an artist, if you're a fantastic artist, you eventually are going to make postcards and maybe flyers or posters to announce where you're performing or creating or what gallery you're in. So it's a great tool for you if you're just going to stay within the realms of fine arts. If you're going to go into the creative design realms, we use them daily. This program is one of the most used software in a graphic designer's life because it is so versatile to single print runs to large complicated pages. like in a book or a catalog or a magazine. It lends to gather all the information and define and clarify everything in a layout. Adding type and image together now. We've done a little bit of adding type and image, but this is where we really kind of hone in on combining them both to express an idea. And the first one we're going to talk about is postcards. We're going to make some fun summertime in New Jersey postcards. So before I get ahead of myself, we talked a little bit about what InDesign is. Now let's talk about how you kind of set up a way to be successful in InDesign. So there's some differences in InDesign than Illustrator and Photoshop. Illustrator, you make the image there. When you open up the file, you immediately open it up. You're not linking external images to it. And we'll keep talking about this linking idea. So what I ask you to do first is please make a folder, like I have, of InDesign Lesson 1 Summer. I have provided images online, so please grab those images I have provided online. I use Adobe Stock. I pay for the membership of it, so I want to give us some really nice sharp images like we did with the Photoshop final project. And then here are my two InDesign file and then my PDF. And you're all familiar now on how to make a PDF. You won't have these two files yet because we haven't created it, but I do want you to start this folder, InDesign Lesson 1 Summer, and then have another folder that either says links or images. And this is what I mean by links. Typically, once I start making this, it will automatically link to this folder. And I'll show you that if I move this folder out of the location that it thinks it should be, you'll start seeing that there is errors. It'll start alerting you that it's missing images. The images need to be close to the actual file. If they're not linked together within the same folder, when you move this whole folder or move any of these parts, it will disconnect the link because it will no longer know where it's connecting. It right now it recognizes these are the relationship that these are together. It's kind of like, the only way I can say it is if you worked in an office and they had a whole bunch of file cabinets. And everybody knows that Peter LinkedIn, let's just say, is in the L's in the middle shelf. And so when you go there, you expect to see Peter LinkedIn in there. But if someone didn't put that folder back in the right place and put it underneath the A's instead of the L, people would not be able to find it again. So you have to keep all your elements in the same place so that the program can find it again. All right, so that's a little bit of how I can try to explain linking files. It's really, really important. Let's start creating this. Wait, before I start creating, I think I want to show you what we're going to be doing. You saw a little sample online, but this is what I would like us to make. So we're going to be making these little postcards. I'm going to bring this down to actual size. So we're going to do this one. We're going to use the shape tool and then outline it to make some shapes. So you still can use shapes and create forms with shapes within InDesign. We made some lines in a box with the circle edges, curved edges, round edges. We're just bringing in simple images, but we like to try to keep, even that isn't quite what I like, this nice smooth line to kind of connect to the other. And here we're going to divide them into 4 and place them. So 3 simple ways of adding images and making sure they stay linked. And then we're going to work with typography a little bit. And I ask you, if you can, try to use Super Clarendon. If you can't, it's okay to use Georgia or Times New Roman. All right, so moving on.